I've been out because I got lazy and I don't know. I could make excuses, but I
Let's
won't.
not. Let's just have some fun because this is what we do. We just sit around and talk
Yeah.
about music, man.
Well, let's get right into it. We have got a ton to talk with Rob DeLuca about today, but the
But
main thing that
but
I want, what's that?
but we usually go around the horn and we have a new feature, and I'm going to include our guest on the feature. On the feature
Our
of
new
what?
feature is
Go ahead, Scott. Say it.
it's Carcass's POW, Carcass's POW,
Carcass's
or Pick of the Week.
POW, pick of the week.
See, I've been out of the loop, Rob, so I don't know what's going on anymore.
So we're gonna ease him back into it, Rob. Don't worry. So normally, this is a new feature, and they've left it up to me to tell all the metalheads out there what record they definitely need to have in their collection. So last week, I said I think Boston's first album needs to be in everybody's collection. So and we have a running joke, although this is not a joke. I could easily say go out and pick up any Ozric Tentacles album because every metalhead needs them in their collection. However,
every damn time,
I think every metalhead needs to have this in their collection. And I know this seems like a softball, but maybe it's not. But I think this is as important as it gets. Yeah. And it basically is one of the foundation or cornerstones of what heavy metal eventually become. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to not put Rob on the spot, but I'm going to ask him, what do you think that every metalhead should have in their collection?
Me, Rob, or
no, you, Rob.
Let me think. Aerosmith rocks.
Okay.
Aerosmith.
That was on my list.
Endorsement right there.
Aerosmith Toys in the Attic. Aerosmith Toys in the Attic.
Yes.
I don't have Boston's first album. I don't know if you were joking, but that's a fantastic album. The playing is just scary, ferocious playing on that album.
Yep.
And the vocals are scary, crazy as well.
Yeah. And
over the top.
The guitar player Tom Schultz produced it and played maybe all the instruments. Obviously, Brad Delp, rest in peace, sung the lead vocals. And let me think, what else? I mean, that Sabbath album definitely, and the greatest hits, We Sold Our Soul for Rock and Roll. Zeppelin, Houses of the Holy. Any Zeppelin album, pretty much.
Okay.
UFO, Force It, Obsession.
Yes.
Let me think. What else?
So, have you been at my house? Because you're like naming most of my stuff I have sitting over here for future picks of the week. But anyway, well,
yeah, I could go on and on. Like, Guns N' Roses, Appetite, LA Guns' first two albums.
Yeah.
I could go on and on.
Well, we'll have to have you back, and then we'll actually have a show where we have like our top 10 records that you need in your collection. So Air Metal Rob, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but
no, it's okay.
That was our feature. The other feature we used to do but don't do anymore is what does Carcass John's shirt say? But I digress because nobody ever gets it.
I have no clue what that says.
Scott, any guesses?
No idea.
No. Rob DeLuca? No. Okay. Yeah, it's okay. It's a band called Worm out of Florida.
Wow.
That says Worm?
Yeah. It's like atmospheric doom, death, funeral metal, black metal. I don't know.
That's a lot of lines for just a 4-letter word.
You can kind of see it in there if you really look at it, but yeah.
I can't.
Anyway, so on with the show, Rob. Hair Metal Rob.
Yeah. Sorry, I've been out of the loop for a couple months, and so I apologize for stepping on the format.
It's awesome. It's awesome to have you back, by the way.
Thank you very much. Well, this past Saturday, I went down to Mansfield, Texas, and I witnessed this. Thank you to Emily, the very sweet waitress that found one of these for me because I waited too long and they were all pulled down off the wall, but she found one in the ladies' restroom on the other side of the building, and I did not go in there looking for one, but I went everywhere else.
Liar.
I did see some band guys coming out of the ladies' room, but I don't think those were spread eagle guys. I cannot confirm or deny. But the big thing you guys have got going on right now is your 2024 tour. And I want to say that at Fat Daddy's the other night, I had never been to the venue. Very nice venue.
Very nice.
I was really impressed. And I thought you guys crushed it. So from a review standpoint, I thought the show was a 10 out of 10. And you guys play everything like it's an arena show, and it is so professional and so top notch. I always enjoy seeing you. And so my plea to people, when you played here last time, after the show, I heard people saying, "Oh, we didn't know they were coming. We didn't know they were coming." Well,
What did we play last time?
Mavericks.
Oh,
well,
you
no,
remember.
I missed you. There was a show between there that I missed. I can't remember, but yeah, at Mavericks.
I remember seeing you at Mavericks. Yeah.
Yeah, but I got some people, oh, we didn't know they were coming or whatever. Well, get your ass online to spreadeagle.us because these dudes are working hard. So talk a little bit about the tour, Rob.
Well, at the moment, we're doing a lot of Weekend Warrior stuff. We got, I'm going to guess, around 20, 25 dates, probably 20, even more. We probably have about 35, 40 dates booked. We're going to announce UK in the morning tomorrow, on Thursday, and we'll announce Europe after that, which will be, those two will be connected, that trip. We're back in Mansfield, Texas at Fat Daddy's on November 29th, which is quite a ways away, but they were gracious enough to book us again quickly, which is a good sign.
Mm-hmm.
And we got the jewel, the crowning jewel the jewel in the crown is Monsters of Rock. I hope I have pants on. Monsters of Rock Cruise. This is a shirt from 2012 that I did it. I've done it a handful of times, but this particular one was with UFO. So that's the crowning jewel, but we have a lot of great shows that I don't have to go through right now, but before we hang up, if I could just run down the list, that'd be fantastic.
Absolutely.
So we're excited. Yeah. And I agree. The band's getting tight. I mean, a lot of bands, bands get better and better year after year if they care, and a lot of the bands you go see, Rob, I'm assuming, have been together for a lot of years, and we've just had this incarnation together for a year and a half, and we didn't gig for years before that. We were off partially due to COVID and other factors. We didn't gig for 5 years. So what you saw, I am very proud of, but we get better and better every gig, and we've only been gigging for a year and a half. So it's going to, like in another year, it's going to be a whole different band, but I'm certainly not making any excuses for where we're at. I just know the upside, because we always are pushing. We've been this way since 1990. We're always pushing to make it better, to make the show more entertaining, more interesting, more musical, bring in different songs that people don't expect. So, we had a great show on Saturday, but in a year, it's going to be twice as good.
Well, I can tell you that from a musician standpoint, the rhythm section is just out of control. Ray is on his game. Yeah. And forgive me, I cannot remember the guitar player's name.
Jami.
He's
from Italy.
Yes. I don't know where you found Jami. I'd kind of like to hear some about that, but that dude is smoking good.
So clean and good, and every gig he gets nastier and nastier, because that's what Spread Eagle's about. Like, we were always a blend, half and half of like punk attitude and technical ability, and we somehow tried to balance those two things, and make it an entertaining, dangerous show without ever any backing tracks or click tracks or anything ridiculous like that. We've never, that's, you know, if people do that, power to them, but it's not the genre or the business we're in, you know.
Right.
So we don't know anything about that. I've never been in a band that does that, and I never will be. So we're always pushing it, and every gig he's getting more aggressive. Technically, he's obviously 100% there, you know. And so to answer your question, I had a guy who helps me make leather jackets, and he's in India. His name's Munir Kamkar, and I'll make it short. But through him, I met a girl just as a Facebook friend named Marlena, and so she was in my circle, you know, friends on Facebook, and I posted that we posted that we were looking for a guitar player, and she wrote back and said, I have the perfect guy, and she was right. It was Jami Paleta, and he was kind of like in transition from coming from Italy to Maryland, which is, you know, not perfect because we're in New York City, but it's pretty close, so it was good. And we had another guy who was great, but he was in San Francisco. His name was Hunter Peterson. And Jami, you know, we chose Jami, and we chose Hunter as the understudy. Hunter went to Europe with us. Jami was unavailable. So yeah, he's mind-blowingly good, and we're drawing that aggression out of him more and more every show. We're really happy, and he's such a sweet guy, you know. And you know, Rob, you know us now. It's all about like not being assholes and treating people really good and appreciating people coming out, because there's enough bands out there who are assholes, you know.
Yeah.
We don't need to be another band in that category. There's enough.
Yeah. Well, and one of the things that I'm glad you said that, because one of the details about the show that I wanted to mention was, if you go see Spread Eagle, you're not only going to see Spread Eagle, you're going to meet Spread Eagle. They're going to talk to you. They're going to hand you some badass merch if you need some merch. And watching you guys, especially you, because I kind of moved out of the way as the other guys came out after, you know, loading off the stage. To watch you just at the utmost professionalism, just talking with everybody that came to the table was so cool. And I just remember back in the day, it was unattainable to be able to talk to someone that you just saw play live. You know, there was no chance of that. And one of the things that I love about bands that have been around for a long time that are still out playing in touring is most of them are down to earth types, and they want to talk to you and they want to hang out. And I just really appreciate that. And watching you guys interact, I stood there with a smile on my face, watching y'all just do business with the fans. You know, it was awesome.
Thank you. Well, it's a combination of things. One is we made our New Year's resolution to do free meet and greets all year throughout 2024. So that's the main factor. And other than that, obviously, is economics. You know, you want to sell merch and put gas in your tank, you know. But the third reason is, you know, we really do care about the fans. There are times though, if you're sick or if you're losing your voice, or you got a show the next night, or you got a string of shows. Like we went to Europe and UK in September of 23, and we did like, you know, 11, 12 shows in a row. I think it was 11, you know, and that's hard on Ray, you know, because Ray's a screamer, you know, and he's got a wide range. So, you know, I just hope that fans understand there's certain times where any band, you know, us and any other band, are just either can't do it or won't have everyone out there, or can't talk too loud or whatever. We will be doing it all year, because that's the New Year's resolution that we made. So And it's good to hear, you know, their stories about what, you know, what our music and metal in general means to them, because that's what, you know, that's why we got into this. And Rob, you know, we're not doing this for the money, or we wouldn't be doing this, you know. So we
Yeah,
just love it. We love playing rock and roll. We were born to do this. It sounds cliche, but you get guys in the exact same place that Spread Eagle's at, they're not going to be saying we were born to do it. They're saying we can't, you know, we had to get a job, or can't
Right.
do it anymore. Or, you know, the kids, you know, are more important. We were born to do it.
Yeah.
This is why we're on this earth. So we're going to keep doing it.
Yeah. I think Scott was going to ask a question. He was muted.
No, I wasn't going to ask. I wasn't going to ask a question. I was just saying this. I always appreciate when the bands come out and meet the fans, and I don't know. It always makes it memorable and special. You know what I mean? As opposed to just walking out and being done with it. I don't know. I've met hundreds and hundreds of bands, and most of them have been really nice. So,
Good.
but the ones where you actually get to meet the guys afterwards, especially if it's a, you know, a smaller venue, you never forget them. You know.
Yeah, and the merch that you guys throw down is pretty cool too. I love it when the bands have game used strings and game used sticks. Rick had some used sticks out there, and you're bringing the drum heads and the really cool stuff. So I thought that was cool. I'm a dork about merch, so I was stoked to see what you guys had.
It really helps us. We made more that night in merch than we made for the gig. More profit in merch than profit for the gig, because we had flights and, you know, rental
Right.
cars and, you know, gas and tolls and Airbnbs. You know, we also had an Uber that gig. You know, like it's so important.
Right. Tell us
Do you
about.
still? Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead,
I
Scott.
was gonna say, do you still have to pay the clubs quite a bit of money in as part of the, you know, when you sell your stuff there? Some clubs are really bad about it, where they want almost half the money you make.
Knock on wood. I don't know if this says something about our level, but I've never had to pay a club merch. The whiskey requires it, and it was low, and they gave the money back to me, or they refused to take it. And the whiskey's the only club we play that requires it. I've seen it happen to a lot of bands I've been in. Don't get me wrong.
Happens here a lot.
Yeah, I see it a lot.
All too
I've
much.
had it happen to the bands. I've had it happen to bands I was in. So yeah, I get it. I was just curious if it's still that's still happening out there.
It's still happening, but it's just, you know, the circuit we're on, for whatever reason, it's maybe smaller, and there's less being generated. And I agree with you. It's crushing to smaller bands. It's absolutely crushing.
Well, it was killer to see you come to Mansfield, Texas, and it was killer to see you come to Arlington, Texas. But just a week ago, you played the world famous Whiskey. How did that go?
It was absolutely great. We played there last Saturday night, not the Saturday that just passed, but the week before that. And we love playing. And, you know, I mean, obviously, Hollywood is the center of, you know, the 80s, early 90s metal explosion, and people still come out, and it's still important. And the Whiskey's a nice club. They treat you good. Like I said, the merch money was low, so they gave it back. And it was a great experience, and I can't wait to go back there. Plus,
That's cool.
there on a Saturday night is a cool thing, you know.
Yeah, that is pretty cool. The history behind the club. I've never been in the club proper. I've walked by it on the street a couple times.
It only holds 500 people. It's not a huge club, but
yeah,
played it. UFO played it, you know.
Wow. Speaking of UFO, so had the Final Orders tour. So is that it? Will there be any more recording? Obviously, no more touring. But how does that kind of end for a band like that? What do you do when you walk away from something as prolific as UFO?
Well, all those things you just said, I don't know if how true they are. You know, it's everything's up to Phil Mogg, of course. Right. And He's the band leader and the only guy who's been in the band for all 53 or 4 years.
That's crazy. Think
Yeah.
about what you just said. I mean, 50 years, that is such a long time to have that amount of success and to still be thinking about new music.
It's amazing.
That's incredible.
He's releasing a solo album any day. And so to answer your question briefly, what happened for those who don't know, we were on our last Orders tour, which was basically their retirement tour. And the keyboard player, the original keyboard player, Paul Raymond, died on the tour. He had a heart attack. Not on the tour. It was on a break after our London shows, which were monumental, just awesome, playing in London, where they're from.
Mm-hmm.
And he sadly passed away. He was a great guy, great musician. So we had a lot of dates booked. So they decided to continue with the keyboardist. That member is a utility member, keyboard and guitar. So they decided to continue and fulfill the dates with the guy that replaced Paul Raymond in the 70s, or early 80s, sorry. And that's Neil Carter, who's a great musician, powerful guitar player. And so we decided to fulfill the dates and do it with Neil Carter. And the fans really like that because the band has such a history. There's people who like this era, who like this era, who like this era. When I was a kid in high school, I saw the Paul Chapman era. And there's Eddie Trunk, that's his favorite era. Surprisingly, I would have pegged him to like most people like the classic with Schenker, But I saw the era with Trunk. So back to what I was saying. So the fans were all on board for us continuing with Neil Carter. And we did some great touring, big festivals, and then we were on a break, and we had, I believe, one or two more legs to go. And Phil, our singer, had a heart attack. So he is fine. He's doing great. And he had 3 stents put in, and he's probably stronger now than he was before the heart attack. So maybe, I hope it's a blessing and gives him a much longer life. But the long-winded answer to what you were saying is, I don't know if Phil wants to get back together to finish a retirement tour, or I don't know if Phil has changed his mind or what, for touring or music. I would love to at least do like 2 or 3 massive shows in London, and before we ended it, or like a big festival. Like, what was that festival we used to play over there? It'll come to me.
Just so many big festivals over there.
Yeah, but I'm thinking like in the London, the Southern England area, Ramblin' Man Fair. We did that supporting ZZ Top, and that would be a great one to end it on. So that's where we're at. It's up to Phil Mogg, and we all respect his decision. And just to fill in all the blanks, the band also has the original drummer Andy Parker. The reason why he hasn't been there as long as Phil, because he left for some years, 10 years or so. And Vinnie Moore has been on guitar for like 20 years. So, and I've been there for about 15.
And he's no slacker.
No, he's awesome.
The first time I saw UFO was some years ago at Gas Monkey Live. You remember that venue?
Oh, yeah.
Is that one of the ones I did at Gas Monkey?
Yeah. In fact, the first time I ever laid eyes on you, you guys came out and played my favorite UFO song, "We Belong to the Night," and you haven't played it since.
No, that's not true.
When I saw you. Yeah.
Well, that's rare, because since then we've been doing it most tours.
Oh my gosh, I love that song.
Since we brought it back, that was the first time I ever played it that tour, probably. But
right,
since we brought it back, we play it most tours.
How long ago was that? Because that That was with Mothership opening and a band called Legacy, I think, local
I remember
rockers.
Mothership were on the bill. They gave me a beautiful poster. Nice guys.
Yeah, I have that poster in the in my
Yeah.
living room, as a matter of fact.
I'm looking at mine right now.
So that would have been what, nearly 5 years ago?
Ooh, more than that. I'm gonna
Okay,
guess. I don't know.
because I actually thought that was probably going to be the last time I ever saw a UFO, so I
Rob,
made
can you,
sure that I was
Rob,
there.
can you see yours? Do you see what
That
year
was
it is?
March 11th of 2016,
2016. Yeah.
Oh gosh.
7 years ago.
Okay. Time flies when you're living
Having
in
fun.
the world.
Yeah, I missed the Last Orders tour, so I think I saw you on that tour. I think I saw you with Saxon at that same venue, and then I didn't see the Final Orders tour. So I've only heard "We Belong to the Night" once live, and that's not good enough for me.
Me neither.
Uh-oh. Sounds like you better book something else.
And I don't want to give anything away about the show because I really want people to get out and check out the Spread Eagle tour. But there are a couple of cool surprises in the set list.
Oh,
I'll let you talk about that if you want, but I was blown away by the 2 tracks that I was not expecting, because there was a wonderful mix of Spread Eagle music and then a couple of really cool little gifts in there.
I'll talk about anything. Which tracks are you referring to?
You played a UFO song and closed out the night with "Don't Change," which was a
Oh.
kick-ass version of the NXS track.
So you're not talking about our songs.
Right? Yeah. No. You
Not our
played
jam.
extras. I'm sorry. No.
Oh, I'm just joking.
You
Yeah,
did
we
play, because to me, if you went and toured this entire album, I would be thrilled, because I love the other stuff, but this thing, to me, this is a 10 out of 10 album. And
Yeah, we put. I mean, when you don't make a record for 27 years or whatever it was, you can't just put out garbage, or you can't just dial it in. So we put our entire souls into that album, and we're very, very, very proud of it still.
it's so good.
And I feel it stands up to our other albums easily. So thank you for appreciating it. We got picked as best of the year on a handful of sites, on like top 10 on a lot of sites, but best of the year on a handful of sites. And it's good that people dialed into it.
Yeah,
Or as the songs that you mentioned live, we just started doing a UFO song. We went to UK for the second time in September of 23, and we thought, UFO or not touring, it might be cool to do a song, and we decided to pick a deep cut, which is one of my favorite, "Push to the Limit," off the Walk on Water album. And "Don't Change" is a song that over the years we would just make notes of what would be cool to cover. We're not really a cover band, like meaning an original band that does many covers. We've done a small handful in the past, but Ray really likes doing covers, and I understand why now that we're doing a couple of them. It engages people who don't know the band.
Yes,
Even
that's
if they
exactly
like,
what I was going to say.
yeah,
You like read my mind.
yeah, even if they are there seeing us for the first time and digging it, if they don't know the songs, it gets a different emotion out of them. So yeah, we do a song by NXS called "Don't Change," and we do a pretty slamming version of it.
it's pretty fucking good. That's what you wanted to say.
Pretty fucking good.
It is. The other thing, as long as we're talking about set list, I was so stoked that you played "Solitaire," the last
Me too.
track off of "Subway to the Stars."
Me too.
That was so killer. I did not expect that. And I had just listened to it that day on the way down. And I thought, man, I bet they never play that live. And then there it was. So that was fun.
Well, our headline set has been modeled where we do 2 ballads, or
Mm-hmm.
if you want to, for lack of a better word, ballads.
Mhm.
And Through These Eyes is one ballad, and that's one of our top 5 most popular songs. So people get really upset if we don't play that. Plus, we love it. And we used to do a song called Faith off our second album, but open to the public. But when we released the third album, it wouldn't make sense to do 3 ballads in a set. It would just slow things down too much. And I personally feel I love the song Faith, but I personally feel that Solitaire is a lot more representative of who we are right now. And I love playing that song. And it really shows how soulful of a singer Ray is. I always thought that he doesn't sound like anyone else on that song or on any song, but I felt like he channeled like an inner Greg Allman on that song or something.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I love playing it, and it really comes across real nice. And it shows, we're all full on playing King of the Dogs and Susie's Suicide. It shows some range to be able to do that. And people not going, I don't understand this. They just played a heavy song, they're playing a light song. It all makes sense because Spread Eagle has always been like a very musical thing, where we're not just a modern rock band that get me to the chorus kind of thing, So it works.
It does work.
I'm going to duck for a minute and plug in my computer so you can see my beautiful bedroom.
Wonderful. I'm just glad you have pants on. We established that early in the show. Question for Rob with hair. Oh, here we go. Justin Price has got a question for you, Rob.
Most memorable live performance. It would be really tough to say one, so I'm just going to fire off a bunch off the top of my head. The last 2 shows in London with Paul Raymond on the UFO Last Orders tour that we recently just talked about. Playing in London with the UFO, where they started, where they're from, is a real homecoming feeling. The shows we're going to do on Monsters of Rock are going to be very important for me. I've done the cruise a bunch of times, but never with Spread Eagle, so that's a big deal. Shows supporting with Sebastian Bach Band, supporting Guns N' Roses in South America is like, fairy tale shit. Like when you're a kid, you're like, oh, I'm going to do this someday. It's like, it rarely ever happens that way. So that was fairy tale shows. UFO in South America was pretty awesome. So yeah, last London show for Spread Eagle in 2023 was pretty awesome. So there's a lot, there's a lot.
Yeah, you've played with, you have been out with UFO, Sebastian Bach. I've seen you with George Lynch. But on one of your profiles, there is a band listed that I'm not familiar with. And I'm going to have to scramble here to figure out, well, I'm not going to find it. I'm going to stop the show down looking for this other band. So what are some of the other projects that you've been in?
Yeah, I was with Lynch on a couple occasions, different years. I did on a Guns N' Roses tour where it was Guns N' Roses and Sebastian Bach. Helmet came in as the opening act, and their bassist couldn't get into Canada, so I did that Canadian run playing in both opening acts. I did some shows with Joan Jett.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Those are the main ones that I can think of.
Of Earth?
Of Earth
That's it.
Yeah, Of Earth is a band that that I play bass and sing for, we haven't been very active because it's you kind of I can kind of pick one labor of love and to put my time into, and uh, like work is one thing, like if I get say hired to play in UFO or Sebastian Bach or George Lynch, but then Spread Eagle is my labor of love, and whatever happens with it is what happens, I'm going to do it regardless, whether it's, really profitable or not. So Of Earth would be another situation like that. And I don't have the time to do both of those at this moment. But if anything ever slowed down with Spread Eagle, I would go back to it. However, Of Earth have a song in the movie 5 Pounds of Pressure. It's a Lionsgate movie coming out in March. So it's a major, major motion picture.
Cool.
We have a song on the soundtrack of Earth too.
Nice.
Wow. Well, you had me at 4-piece psychedelic progressive band.
It's cool.
Yeah.
It's not like shredding progressive. It's more like the slower proggy stuff like Pink Floyd or Genesis.
Okay.
It's very, very good. The lyrics are incredible.
Well, anytime you see us like looking down, we're probably taking notes. So
Yeah.
I feel
That's
like
exactly what we're doing.
the professor is teaching us something. So
I don't know about that, but it's a great band. Rick DeLuca, Of Earth's drummer, is the drummer in that band. But like I said, we're on break right now, and we have 2 albums out on Bandcamp. You can download them for free. But it's just really, really deep. It's kind of, it's like Pink Floyd. It's a very kind of, you close your eyes and you it's very cinematic in your mind,
Mm-hmm.
So it's appropriate that it's on a in a soundtrack. Luke Evans is the main actor in the movie, and also Culkin, the one that was in the black metal movie.
Oh, Roy
Culkin
Culkin.
is in the movie. It's a big deal. And the
Yeah.
director is Phil Locco. Phil Locco was in the band Law and Order. He was the guitar player. Then he was singer. Law and Order were label mates of Spread Eagles on MCA. Then he was in a band called Dogma on Interscope, and now he directs movies, including his last movie was The Truth About Lies. So he directed and wrote the movie 5 Pounds of Pressure.
Nice. I will check that out. Well, let's wrap it up with some questions. If anybody in the comments wants to throw something up for Rob before we wrap it up here in a couple minutes. The only question that I have left is twofold. What's next for Spread Eagle other than the tour, and what about new music?
We have at least 8 songs written. I'm going to start going down to Jami's house to work on tunes. We're just waiting on some drum demos to move forward.
That is exciting news for me.
Yeah, it's I can tell you right now, it'll be the same quality as Subway to the Stars, because we don't rush things out. We wait till our albums are on the level they need to be. So we'd rather wait and release a record that stands up to our catalog than get something out, than rush something out.
Yes. No, that's
Yeah, it makes sense.
Fire it up, boys.
Well, I'm excited for more reasons than one. I admittedly, Rob DeLuca, not Rob Colwell, I am less familiar with Spread Eagle than I should be. I'm more familiar with your work in UFO and Sebastian Bach, and but I will get up to date before we have you on again.
Cool.
But,
It's all good, man. It's all good. That's why I'm here, to try to get people who haven't heard us to listen, including you guys.
Yeah,
it's all good.
I know that the other Rob has expressed his lifelong passion for Spread Eagle, and so I just need to take the. I'm typically into the more heavy stuff, but I do have a progressive side, so that's why especially this Of Earth is particularly intriguing to me. But I will for sure dive into Spread Eagle because I would love to see you live. I think all 3 of us are. We really dig live music in particular because there's a whole different energy than listening to it on a on a vinyl, on a record or whatever. But so I will make a public commitment to be at your next show when you're here in Mansfield in November.
So you're also in the Dallas
Yes,
DFW
I am.
area?
Sure am.
And how about you? Are you in Dallas also?
Scott's
I'm
out
in-
in New Mexico.
I'm in New Mexico.
Okay, I hope to play there too. Yeah, but what you're saying is fine with me. We know a lot of people don't know us, you know. Basically, for those who don't, like when that crazy explosion was happening in LA, you know, whatever you want to call it, hair metal and post hair metal. We were in New York City, and where I'm still at, where I live, and we didn't feel, you know, there was some bands there that we loved, but we didn't feel it represented us, so we made our own version of that sound, not of the like Poison side of that sound, of the heavier side of that sound, like, you know, LA Guns, Guns N' Roses. Love Hate, who I loved. So we
Love
did
Hate are great.
yeah, they were. They were. So we did an East Coast version of that sound, which is different. It's different because our influences on the East Coast were very different than those guys coming up. And so people, our fans thought and think it's refreshing because it was a different take on that whole movement.
Justin has thrown a question out here. Do you think there's a good link between creating music for albums and shows and possibly doing any sort of film scores?
Well, I'm so maxed out just booking gigs and, you know, all the minutia of things. It's hard for me to go, you know, outside of my box. But, you know, I'm open to anything. But I think I can honestly say touring and making the occasional record is more than a full-time job.
Right.
So it's touring and spreading alone.
I just found the review I wrote in 1990 of your first album.
Oh, thanks,
Let's
Scott.
hear it.
It's not very long.
What was it in?
Spread Eagle are a heavy metal hard rock band from New York whose sound is a mix of Slave to the Grind era Skid Row and the sleazy shimmer and shake of Dangerous Toys. This band really has everything anyone could want from a sleazy late 80s, early 90s band. The looks, the label, solid musicianship, smoking guitar solos, crunchy riffs, and a vocalist with a nasty sizzle in his voice. Though it may sound trite to say after comparing the band to Skid Row and Dangerous Toys, Ray West's voice is a cross between Jason McMaster and Sebastian Bach. That's the first paragraph.
What publication?
It was No Life Till Metal. It's a
Okay.
website that I've been running since there was an internet.
Well, that was not written in 1990.
Well, it was published on my thing in 1990. Before that, we used to run a publication called
Impossible.
What was the name of the publication? The Ultimatum Metal Mag.
Yeah, because that was before Slave to the Grind.
Well, that's impossible. Our album came out a year before Slave to the Grind. So there's no way we could have been sounding like a cross between Slave to the Grind and something else. They were listening to us.
They could have been.
Well, they admit to it. Yeah. Yeah. That's one of the things that helped us was Baz was saying, you know, this is a band I'm listening to these days. We're so, you know, gracious that he was mentioning us because he was one of the biggest stars in the world at that time.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. You must have written that later, Scott.
You had to.
Yeah, I had to be in the mid 90s or so. I don't know. The date on here is 1990, but that's actually the year the album came out, maybe not the year I wrote the review.
Well, let's run down some tour dates, Rob. You want to do that before we get out of here?
Okay, so we have this Friday, February 16th in Newark, Delaware at the Halftime. This Saturday, February 17th in Frenchtown, New Jersey at Artie's. We have Saturday, February 24th in Providence, Rhode Island at Fett Music Hall. We have Wednesday, February 28th, New York at Arlene's Grocery. We have the Monsters of Rock Cruise going to the Bahamas from March 2nd through March 7th. We get off the boat and we play on March 8th in Davie, Florida, South Florida, at Cagney's House of Rock. We have Friday, March 15th in Oklahoma City at Beam Live. We have Friday, March 22nd in Manassas, Virginia at the Salisbury Center. We have April 4th in Beaufort, Georgia at 37 Main. April 5th in Gastonia, North Carolina at the Rooster. April 6th in Murphy, North Carolina at Chevelle's. We have April 13th, Saturday in Longwood, Florida at Shovelhead Lounge. And then we're working on some early May dates that we're trying to clean up because they were co-headlining with Junkyard, but Junkyard just had some issues and they canceled their entire year of shows. So we'll probably still do them. Most likely that would be Friday, May 3rd in Hamden, Connecticut at the Cellar on Treadwell, and Sunday, May 5th in Philly at Kung Fu Necktie. And then we have Friday, May 17th in Clifton, New Jersey at Dingbats. Saturday, May 18th in Lowell, Mass at Koto. That's a good start. And then we got some things in July.
Yeah. And I've got the link in the comments, and also I made a post on the Metal Roundtable page and my page and the Metal Rob's Records page to spreadeagle.us for all the tour dates. Most all the tour dates are there. So if you've got any questions, check that out. But I implore you to check out Spread Eagle Old if you are not familiar. Check out Spread Eagle New if you are an old school fan and don't know the new stuff. But by God, get your ass to a show, because these guys do the fucking business live.
I'm truly thinking of Oak City is only 2.5 hours from where we live.
Yep.
So I'm strongly considering, because that's on a Friday night, isn't it? Oklahoma City.
It's definitely a weekend.
Okay.
I can look really quickly.
You may see a big, very bulking, bearded
Oklahoma
guy.
City is on a Friday. Oklahoma City is on a Friday, and then we have November 29th, the end of the year, towards the end of the year, back in
Mansfield
at Fat Daddy's.
Okay.
And let us know if the barbecue ever works out.
Thank you. Very generous of you.
I'll bring the sauce.
You have no idea, man. Richie's a badass. Well, you guys got any parting shots for the great Rob DeLuca before we get out of here?
I feel like I've been educated, Rob. Thank you for taking time out for us.
My pleasure, guys. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Thanks for having me again.
I've got homework to do on Of Earth.
Okay.
This will be good.
I'm gonna start with Spread Eagle, though. I'm gonna. That's the benefit of the doubt in me. I'm gonna start there, and then I'm gonna expand my horizons.
You will not be disappointed, brother.
Right on.
You will not be. Well, thank you once again for Rob DeLuca for joining us from Spread Eagle, UFO, Sebastian Bach, Of Earth, George Lynch. It's always good to see you. You've always been super, super kind to me, and I genuinely appreciate it. Thanks for coming on the show. You can follow me on Instagram at Metal Rob's Records. You can follow the Carcass on Instagram at Carcass John Art. You can follow Scott Waters on YouTube by simply searching Scott Waters, or just Google No Life Till Metal. And you can follow Rob. He's very easy to find. He's active on social media. And go to spreadeagle.us to check out.
I do want to put a word of warning in before we end.
Yeah.
Be very specific when you type in Spread Eagle in your search. I just did that, and the stuff that comes up isn't exactly what you're thinking it's going to be.
On most sites, yeah, on most sites it's Spread Eagle NYC.
There you go. That's a better ad.
There you go. Safety, children. Spread Eagle NYC. So check it out. But again, thanks so much, Rob. And if you ever want to pop on the show and hit up a topic or share some tour dates or news, you've always got the forum, man.
Thank you, Rob, Scott, Carcass. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, sir.
Anytime, brother.
I'll see you guys and all our fans on the road.
Yep. Cheers, man. We'll talk to you soon, brother.
Okay, thanks.